super excited to have y'all here on what I know and call my Tenacious Tuesday. Every day, Ms. Zelda, is a day for me. Whether it's my Motivational Monday, my Tenacious Tuesday, my Wonderful Wednesday, between my Thankful Thursdays, Fabulous Fridays, Satisfying Saturdays, no, my Super Saturdays, and my Satisfying Sundays. So my Thankful Thursdays and my Satisfying Sundays is probably my favorite days, especially Sundays. But happy Tuesday, everybody. And again, it's so good to see some new faces and familiar faces. My name is Nina Marie, and I am your host of the Circle of Caring, and I have come to really just start all meetings. Megan, you already know, like, so get you one, maybe two or three in. And I love to get my breath in because there's no telling where we just came from. Where we're going, what we got to do next, all of that good stuff. And so I have just come, Ms. Zelda, really, and you gonna be my pick today, because it's just what helps me get in and just kind of woosah, as my mom calls the woosah. So excited that y'all are joining us today. And if this is your first time at Circle of Caring, we get an opportunity to come into this room. I know you were probably thinking, like, okay, well, when are we going to get started? The moment you came in and all of the chit chatter started, we had already started. Because when you come into these rooms, that's exactly what we do. We get an opportunity to network. And the biggest thing of it all is to walk out knowing somebody that you did not know when you came. There's lots of resources in these rooms, and we love to share resources, don't we, Circle of Caring? We love to share resources. I like to say that everybody is welcome into these rooms, although everybody won't come, because this is the one room that we do get French. We do we, and not a me situation. So grateful for that. But as we introduce ourselves, we're going to go around and say our names. This is the part where we get to kind of do our elevator pitch. You can say your name, the organization that you represent, and or let's say it this way. Say your name, the organization, or your name and an adjective to describe yourself. So like for me, my name is Nina, and my adjective would be I'm nice. At least most people think I am, or would say I am, because I am. But, and I am the community liaison for Community Renewal International. So just an adjective to describe yourself, and yes, and your organization. Ms. Claudia, go ahead and kick us off, please.
I'm Claudia Oliver, and my adjective is happy, and I work for Community Renewal as a volunteer tour guide.
I'm Jan, Joyous Jan, and I'm with Stephen's Ministry at Logan, but there are other churches that have Stephen's Ministry, and it's awesome, so thank you.
Well, I'm Zelda, and I guess I'm zany, but I'm also a member of Stephen's Ministry, and we're
I am Sharpelle Welch. I'm with Community Renewal, where I serve as the director of the renewal team. And I guess an adjective to describe me would be diplomatic.
Wade, we'll go with you.
My name is Wade Shimwell. I guess an adjective to describe me would be, I guess, happy, and I'm a volunteer with Community Renewal.
Cool. Mr. Robert.
I'm Robert Odom. I'm an administrative assistant at Community Renewal, and I guess I would describe myself as humble.
Humble.
Great adjective.
My name is Debbie Washington. I'm with Northwest Louisiana Technical Community College, and I would say that I'm cheerful.
Cheer.
I'm David McCarter, and I'm also with Community Renewal. And as boring as this is, I would say my adjective is practical.
Very
True,
good.
that's very true.
Good. My name is Megan. I work at the Kennedy Center of Louisiana, and I am magical.
My name is Jonathan Keith, and I'm at Northwest Technical College Workforce, and I think I would also say humble. We have a little branch that we live on. It's called Humble and Cunning Branch.
We'll start with this table. Gentlemen, y'all can grab a seat. Yes.
Diane Lawrence, I work at Community Renewal, and I was gonna say happy, but people spell that, so I think I'll go with enthusiastic.
Miranda Williams with the Yale Foundation. My word would be ambitious.
My name is Pam Campbell, and I'm with Community Renewal, and I would just say I'm simple.
Mr. Kim?
Kim Mitchell with Community Renewal, and I would say curious.
Yes.
My name is Nina Taylor, and I'm with Oak Street Health, and mine would be sweet.
I'm Rory Carter. I'm the outreach manager for Oak Street Health, and my adjective would be positive.
My name is Kelly. I'm with Hands of Hope. Mine would be helpful.
I'm Emily. I'm also with Hands of Hope, and my word is compassionate.
Jimmy.
Mr. Jimmy thinking.
He's still thinking.
It's an adjective to describe yourself.
Yeah. I'm Jimmy Graves with Community Renewal, and I would say compassionate.
Okay.
Rachel Taylor with LSUS, and I'm responsible.
Abigail Huddleston Williams with LSUS INOR, and I would say ambitious.
Ambitious. Gentlemen, your name and just a word to describe yourself and your company that you represent.
I'm Scott Tannehill, and I'm a wholesale pump and supply.
And what's the word to describe you, Mr. Scott?
Super mechanic.
Okay. We all need you, Mr. Scott. I hope you got cards ready. Nice to meet you. Okay, cool. Last but not least, well, before last.
My name is Michael Scott. I work at Wholesale Pumps and Supply. There's numerous words I can use to describe myself. You gotta just pick one. Ma'am, you're cute. Thank you very much.
Miss Rebecca.
I'm Rebecca Taylor. I'm the administrative receptionist at Community Renewal. And the word that I would describe myself is reliable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, welcome to the Circle of Caring. These rooms particularly are for businesses, churches, and organizations to come together to get to know each other, enjoy a good meal, and we often have different speakers that will come in and share. And today we are in for a treat who is like a back-to-back. We don't often do the back-to-back, but they're just super special. So they're doing both meetings this month. We'll hear about this amazing app that we are launching through the Circle of Caring that I must say is the first, not only in the state, but in the city to get this app, or shall I say in the city and in the state to get this app. And so we're super excited, but we're going to go ahead and go up for lunch. So housekeeping rules, there's restrooms there that you can go in and wash your hands, or out this door and to your left. And ladies first, and we'll come back to the tables and get ready to hear from our speakers.
I've been a functioning alcoholic for years. She said, I need help, and I was like,
Our
this is
paper
why
has
I'm
been
here.
out, but we've been still wondering and working to make sure that y'all are good when y'all leave here, because we want to make sure that you not only get great conversation and full on the external, we want your belly full too, okay? So without further ado, I am getting ready to bring up two gentlemen that I have just come to love within the organization, Community Renewal. One is Mr. Kim Mitchell. He has worked in life as an architect and just has designed some of our greatest projects here in the Shreveport area, along outside other projects globally. But to have him working within Community Renewal, designing relationships throughout communities is priceless. And Mr. David McCarter, this is my direct supervisor. I have just, it's one thing to have a boss and a supervisor, and it's another thing to have a boss and a supervisor that has become your friend. And I have really appreciated the relationship that we've built, and just at the tables week after week, just vision, you know, because when Community Renewal got the grant from Shumpert for this project, I was so honored, and Mr. Davis said, I just believe that you're the one for the job, and this is the template but just design it how you see fit. And so we've now been at this for almost 3 years, and it's due to these two gentlemen that just helps get my mind as we're navigating through this circle of caring and building out these relationships. And so they're going to talk about not only the app, but the why behind it, because it's one thing to have this amazing app that's accessible to us, but why? You know, what makes this so different from the other apps? Because we all got a million of them. And let me just say this, y'all. When I finally laid eyes on, what was that? Netflix? I said, that's why everybody watching TV. I mean, it's all these movies, but we have all these apps that we have access to, but why behind it? And so without further ado, can we give it up for Mr. Kim and Mr. David?
After you.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see everybody here again today. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to build and grow positive, caring relationships with each and every one of you, and I hope at some point I'll actually get to personally meet everybody in this room. Thanks again for coming. So one of the things that I think is important to know is, you know, we put together this app so that we can maintain our collaboration and our communication in between meetings, because getting to come to this meeting is great, and getting to see all the new faces and get an introduction to what everybody does is great, but you know, a month is a long time to go between connections, and it's hard to maintain relationship with that amount of time in between. So we've partnered with, through a grant that Kim wrote, with a developer who's putting together an app where we can have a listing of everybody who's a member of the Circle of Caring and what their organization is and what their organization does. So whenever we have connections with the people that we serve with, if they need other services that we don't provide, we can connect them to our friends, not just this amorphous agency out there who does whatever they do. We can connect them with our friend who provides that service and put them in connection where the services that they get provided will be a lot more impactful. Because we all know when you put a friend with a friend, you get special treatment. It's just the way that it works. Along with that, we can just continue our connections with each other, because there's some chat features and some other things that are embedded within the app that will help us just maintain our relationships, and we can get to know each other better and even provide opportunities to cross-collaborate and to just spend time in personal relationship. One of the other features to the app is that it's going to have a calendar involved in it, where we can put the activities and the events that we have throughout the community all in one coordinated space, so we're not competing for different people on the same time and the same day. That happens a lot in Shreveport currently. We want to avoid that and be able to help support one another and not be in conflict for our time and our space and our people. And so one of the things that I'm going to introduce Kim for is, while he is a community renewal staff member, he also represents different projects and different organizations throughout the community. And one of the things that he is currently working on is a thing called the Right Questions Project, where you pose a question and collaborate together on an answer that can then lead to the formation of a working group to help solve problems, different problems that can come up throughout the community. So he's going to be introducing the Right Questions Project, but the reason why I think it's important to give more of an introduction to it is it's not just a project that he's putting on the app. It's going to be an example for how you guys can also interact with the app and put questions and put different ways that the community that's in the app can help support and interact with what you do. So that's all I got.
All right, well, I'll pick it up from there. Well, we live in a world that our questions create. And so that, with that perspective, consider this wisdom that comes out of that thought, is that we're better off to partially answer the right question than we are to completely answer the wrong question. And there's also another reality about our world, and maybe you feel this, that we live with a lot of multi-crises and that are quite, I guess you could categorize them as socially, economically, and environmentally. And I gave up counting. I was counting because I got interested in this, about crises, so I followed it on the news for a while. I stopped counting when we hit 40, or when I hit 40. And it's almost daily that you hear that. So when you look at it from this reality that we live in a world our questions create, you might conclude from that we're spending an awful lot of time answering the wrong questions completely. And that there's this gap that has emerged in our society. It's called the ingenuity gap. That society's creating all these challenges that I guess we're hearing on the news media are crises. And we're creating responses to those challenges. And the gap is just growing kind of exponentially in that we are not producing responses to the challenges that society is giving us. And so from this perspective, if we can decide and understand a right question, could we begin to close that gap? And so from Community Renewal's perspective, we've part of where we come from is we see community as a whole system of relationships. We have some wisdom from an author, Robert Hall, that says caring relationships are our most valuable and value-creating resource. So getting at a right question is a relational experience. It requires multiple perspectives. And so there's some, I guess I'll give you this wisdom too. Einstein had this quote: "If I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on it, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the right question. For once I had the right question, I could come up with the solution in 5 minutes." So this determining the right question is really an important thing. And it's relational, and it requires different perspectives that if you work within, we'll call it a siloed institution. I was sitting with a bunch of people that are involved in different aspects of health or in education or others. The reality is you can't solve some of those problems within the institution. You need outside perspectives in order to do that. And then there's another challenge that we have that we hope that through this app, what we intend to do is deliver a question to you weekly. And if you respond to that question, what it'll help us understand is, what does this group care about? And what we would like to do is create a collaboration, if you want to call it. We call it a learning doing group because our things are so complex that we really need to learn into them. And so there's a challenge, a couple of challenges there, is that we move in the direction of our conversations. And if we're going to talk about problems, that's where the direction our conversation is going to go. And there's an issue with that in that you can never get to the bottom of a problem-centric conversation. And what if we're lucky comes out of a problem-centric conversation is advocacy for someone else to solve the problem. And so what we really want to do with this project is move from advocacy to inquiry. If we can, and we know a little bit about groups and the way they work, in that if we frame our challenges or our problems as opportunities, it allows our mind's eye to see how we want to fit into that opportunity. And so that's one of our issues, is if we uncover these complex challenges, that how do we frame that as an opportunity, because we want to engage your creative energy. We're creating a future that we imagine. through our questions. And so if we can do that, get your involvement through this app and responding to the questions that we put out, we're really trying to create a community of practice for right questions. You know, it's a little bit bold to think that we can proclaim we're going after right questions when we know it's a relational experience of putting together our different perspectives in a way that we see a greater reality than what we can see individually. And just through some of the experiments that we've had, and I'll be glad to share an example of just how this might work, it is really fun to release people's creative energy. And to do that, understanding that the key to doing it is seeing a greater reality than what we currently experience, that we need each other. There's an important principle in community renewal related to this, is that we can only grow more whole through our relationships. We can't do it alone. Despite what society's telling us by giving us the gadgets and technology as though that's going to be our savior, the reality is we define our individuality and we grow through our relationships. And so we need each other to see the greater truth that releases this creative energy, that allows us to close this ingenuity gap that we have as a society. And so we're asking you to join us in this experiment. Think it'll be fun. And if we do this, what we call it, framing appreciative questions, is what we're after. And a question that we're trying to frame, just for the practice part of this, is one that represents a big outcome that feels practical, and then also is an invitation for you to see in your mind's eye how, with the gifts and networks that you represent, you might want to be a part of that. And it's not that not every question is going to be something that you'll be drawn to, but if we can find some that you are, then what we would ask on the app is just to answer the question with whatever you're thinking. That will reveal something to us. If there's a problem that you are experienced, that you consider a complex, adaptive problem, we're not looking for problems that have one solution. We were talking about education and how education aims us at there's always one correct answer. Well, we're dealing on we're trying to navigate our lives on a dancing landscape where everything is constantly changing. And so we need to be adaptive in our solutions or experiments. That's really the mindset we're trying to get. Forget about there being one right answer. That we're better off to partially answer a right question than we are to completely answer a wrong question. Remember that. And we can't solve a problem we can't see. So the importance of a core group of people who trust each other enough that they can argue to agreement about problems, knowing that if they want to engage a group or the community, they have to frame the problem as an opportunity that will make a difference or change direction of the problem that you see. And I'll give you an example that, and this is a real example because we've had the opportunity to engage the education system, and we did it through just a connection. One of our block leaders actually connected us to an educator that she had recognized really did understand the culture of caring being important in education. So think of it this way. Several of us brought a community perspective into education. And we did what's called dancing with the system in order to understand the wisdom of education, but also to reveal some of the flaws in the design of education. And so one of those that we uncovered was there are no intentional outcomes for community in the current education system design. We've not really had anybody challenge us on that, including the now 12 principles that are part of this initiative. So that's a pretty important thing, because that leads to an understanding that if education system designs motives are other than our community, what are they? And so the outcome of education is a job. And as we dance more, we began to understand, well, education is actually contributing to the loneliness epidemic and to the suicide rate, because our Generation Z is the loneliest generation that we've produced as a society. So with those kind of things being exposed, which there's now 10, we framed an opportunity question out of those challenges. And here was the question. Imagine we are engaging the school community in creating pathways to a culture of caring as the foundation for learning and community. What does that look like? So that's the kind of question that invites creative energy, and it has. It's been amazing in that our test school was University Elementary. At the time we engaged them, it was 1,100 students in a facility designed for 400 students. So if that triggers some visual, the logistics of getting to and leaving school was a large part of the day, as well as the logistics of feeding kids. And so what we encountered were typical problems: behavior problems, attendance problems, teacher retention problems, and test scores. And so after 5 years, what we saw is that behavior was the first thing to improve, noted by a 98% drop in referrals and suspensions, from 750 down to almost nothing. Then we saw through the truancy data that attendance was significantly better at university than schools throughout the 66 schools of the Caddo Parish system. And then we began to see that there was a waiting list of teachers wanting to teach at university as we progressed through this. And teacher satisfaction surveys were showing much greater satisfaction than other schools. And we'd done the research, those of us on our team that were involved in that, and they said there was a longitudinal study that said if you do this, what you're really going to affect is that there'll be fewer children going to jail and more kids going to college. But don't expect test scores. Well, in the year of COVID, which I guess was 2021, the test scores at university went up while the country's test scores were going down, and double digits up in math. And so so we said, well, if we do it long enough, we get those kind of outcomes. But what kept the creative energy and moving forward and growing the culture of caring. In fact, we even think of it this way now, that your starting strategy is to create a culture of caring. And your big outcome that you're working to is a culture of caring, because there are no limits on the relational capacities of a culture of caring. You can constantly grow. And we've done that over these 5 years and seen ways that begins to happen. But the framing question was the key. That was an invitation. What do we mean by inviting the community? The community is the teachers, the students, the parents, and the school partners. And so that engaging all of them in pathfinding, it begins to shift the focus from what they see every day, or what's going on around you every day that you don't see, because it's not a priority. We made it a priority. So we've asked these principals, we want you to make as your top priority creating a culture of caring. That goes against the system design. It's going to be hard. And so we really now consider these principals that are doing it, the 12 of them, to be heroes and heroines, and they're adding to our whole body of knowledge. So if we take that kind of complexity, because you're all caught up in it, we all are. Our society just is not working as well as we want it to. And we can't really understand it unless we come together in our conversations, and framing questions can give us a direction of how to work together. Because really what we'd like is that you begin to share your networks to collaborate on one of these complex challenges that attracts you. And in doing that, what we'll reveal is that we have abundance through our relationships. We don't live in a world of deficits like you're told. We live in a world of abundance through our relationships. And so we'll be proving that. So I may be gone on longer than Nina intended me to, but I would encourage you, participate in this. I think it'll be fun. If you're interested in questions, these questions are really powerful, because just like at our We Care schools, a framing question has been powerful. And if we're creating our future through the questions that we ask, they are powerful. And so you can help us with this community of practice. And then said, there's no mandatory thing about this. It's just, can we capture something you care about enough that we create a shared direction that we want to work on together? And if we do, we've got a discipline that we want to help you use called strategic doing. And it's a simple, repeatable discipline of how to create collaborations in an environment where you can't tell anyone else what to do, which is kind of community. And so with that, if there's any questions, if I hadn't rambled in too many directions and confused you, I didn't intend to do that. So please ask a question if you're feeling that you want to know more. But thank you.
To preempt the first question on app availability, we were hoping to have it ready for distribution after these first couple sets of meetings, but the developer is having a little trouble with the app store with Apple with some of their restrictions or whatever. So she's still working through that. So it's not going to be available for this month. So hopefully it'll be available after the meetings next month, and we'll get with you guys and distribute it in whichever best manner comes out of these discussions that they're having. So hopefully we'll be up and ready in next month. So I appreciate y'all's time.
I have a question for you. I've been involved in this, but from what you were telling, I wouldn't understand. What changed? How did it change at university? What did they do? Or, I mean, they can't just ask a question and let the answer come. What did they do to make it change?
Well, we did a number of things that we kind of invented. You know, the first challenge, is, like I mentioned, was how do we change people's focus to see the large number of caring acts that are going on around them on a daily basis. And so we created a card game, which really came from the start of Claudia's, but it's called CoC Caring. And so Diane Lauridens designs these things for each of our now 12 schools. And what we do with that card game is recognize that there's an observer of a caring act and there's a person committing a caring act. The really high priority, if you wanted to rate one that had a higher value, it's actually the person who's observing the caring act who is more important. And the reason for that is in the card game, the observer has to write down the caring act that they're seeing someone else commit. And so they've made it real and they've made it visible by doing that. So we consider that a relational leadership characteristic or practice, because just imagine if we had that skill cultivated of seeing the good in other people, how useful that would be when we try to form collaborations to do something. And then we only grow whole through our relationships. We need each other to see the good in us that we can't see ourselves. And so that game is really a skill building practice in seeing good in others, that we are now growing a relational leadership direction, which leadership is not really, doesn't include that skill. You know, we're in a competitive leadership environment, and most of our training is around that. So this is a shift to put more meat on an additional leadership skill of relationships, which is about not leaving anyone out, seeing the gifts that each person has within them, that they may have trouble finding themselves, and then help each other grow those gifts to our own wholeness in community. And so that was kind of a starting place. And then another was we created what we call Pathfinder Awards. Remember the challenge, creating pathways to a culture of caring in recognition that it's cumulative and progressive in getting to this outcome. And so we began to see that we want to recognize people who are creating a culture or adding to our understanding of the culture of caring. And so that didn't include the best students, the best athletes. It included everyday people who are committed to giving themselves to others and calling attention to them and celebrating them. And there's one story of a student, and you can imagine the card game first of all started with teachers giving students recognition. And where we wanted it to go was students giving other students and students giving adults. And that transition actually happened. And there was one young student, a fourth grader, kind of shy, didn't relate well to his peers, but so he related to adults. And the assistant principal he would come up to and start saying, well, so-and-so's not really behaving in a way that's representative of our culture of caring. So the principal gives him a clipboard and says, well, you go ahead and you start policing this one. So the young man begins to, and he gets an orange traffic vest, and he starts out, and then another student said, well, I'd like to help you do this. And so he trains that student, creates his own training. And so they're out being the patrol at recess on behavior. And then that starts to take off. And so when he received the Pathfinder Award as the first student, there were 40 what became known as recessed rangers. And so for the first time in the history of recess, University Elementary had 0 problems with behavior at recess. And so those kind of things are fun. And the stories that go along with that level of change, and we were just talking not long ago, we really want to know what happened to this fourth grader, because he's now probably 13 years old, and we want to see if he is on the trajectory that we would expect him to be. Because it was amazing when he got his Pathfinder Award, and they said, would all the recess rangers stand up? And all 40 kids stood up and yelled for this young man, and just wonderful stories. And so we continue to uncover system flaws, and we continue to find questions that we frame as challenges for our teachers and school communities to respond. And it's marvelous. But I can see this going on in the village framework that Community Renewal has, which would be not only education, but in health, in leadership, in safety, in housing, in our shared culture. And so those will be some things we're looking for, is all those areas of community that you serve and your interest is, might we frame some challenge as a question that could move us in a way to do something like we did are doing with education. So did I answer?
Did that help you?
Karen had a question.
Jan.
I can see how this could help in the workplace.
Yeah.
It could be an immense game changer in the workplace. What is the name of the app?
Well, it's going to be called the Circle of Caring app. It's developed by a group out of Detroit, and they're just part of this grant that I got, but their group is called Common Agency. So when it's in the App Store, it may be Common Agency, Circle of Caring, but it's something very specific for this group. And it's just, we were just pretty fortunate to see how this might happen in a way that it furthered our grant project and also served this group in some of the desires for coming together, having a good directory and having a shared calendar.
That's wonderful. We are moving from a culture of bullying to a culture of caring. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give it up for Mr. and David again. Now, Mr. Kim, can you say the question again, please? Phrase your question again that y'all put out to the educators.
We said, imagine we are creating pathways, we are engaging the school community and creating pathways to a culture of caring as the foundation for learning and community. What does that look like? And that's what's called an appreciative question, and it comes out of, there is science behind it called the appreciative inquiry that helps us, give this practice some direction for what how a question is to be framed.
That's good stuff. Thank you for restating that. And the reason why I asked you to, because once the app does roll out, we'll do a soft rollout, and it will only include, if I'm not mistaken, those that have been in attendance, because we send out everything to everybody. But the app will only go out in a soft launch with those that have been attendance in this March meeting, because we don't want to roll it out to everybody and these questions are coming out and they don't know what they're answering. And so we are going to roll that out specifically to this group and last week's group. And we do ask that you involve yourself in the questions. We'll let you know it's really simple. We don't want to add this as another something on your to-do list for the week. So we don't want it to be another burden, but we do ask that these questions are going to help further progress us into a working doing group that will allow us to tap into some outcomes within our community. And so I will say that when I first got involved, me and Sharpell both did the strategic doing. How many of y'all had heard of strategic planning before? You knew exactly what strategic planning was. But strategic doing was that was a game changer, because you're not just planning some things, but it's whole life doing while you're going along, which going throughout it, I was like a kid at Christmas, oh my gosh, this is why I've been doing this, or, because I've been doing it, but we don't know that we've been doing it. And so it was just, and it is such a great community of practice that I'm really excited to see what it is that we do and build within the Shreveport-Bossier area. I know, Mr. Kim, one of the communities that you're working on, they have arranged, what was the number of doing groups just within that group? How many? You remember? As you're eating, I'm sorry.
Well, we've got one neighborhood group that is probably spun off about 7 or 8 other learning doing groups, and so that it is cumulative as you learn. And another science area is called emergent learning, and that's in recognition that system change occurs through emergent behavior, not through strategic planning.
Right. So, and we're just excited about what's to come in that. So, next time I see y'all, we will be at the second quarter of 2024 already. I mean, I'm telling y'all, Christmas will be here tomorrow. And so, I mean, like literally, like I just want to prepare y'all now, okay? For those that start shopping early and all that stuff, because this year is not slowing down. And so when I see you all again, we will be in our second quarter of the year. This is just right on time to get us progressing through. Announcements, get your announcements ready, because as we close, there are some upcoming announcements. But what I do want to draw your attention to, if you have not done a Circle of Caring, a community renewal tour, that is the third Thursday of the month. And so we do invite you to email or call the office to get on that tour schedule. Miss Sherry Brown handles that. Of course, we're going to feed you lunch because we believe in feeding you. But it is definitely, I know Megan said, I want to go on the tour again. I loved it. It is such a great tour, and it shows you the organization as a whole. The second thing that I do want to draw y'all attention to is our 23rd annual Croquet Classic. Rorik, I already told you and Nina, Rorik said y'all gonna be playing in this. I'm telling y'all, if you have never played croquet, it is the bomb, April. Like, you and Precious need to play, y'all, Jamie, like Starcorp needs to be in the room. But it's only a 2-man team. Like, it's only a 2-man team, so it's hard picking your other person, but it is super fun. Yes. I have only played once, y'all, and I'm telling y'all, it is thebomb.com. I loved it. And last but not least, I was thinking tour, croquet. Oh, and any announcements that you have that is just coming up, please send those in, because we do distribute those out as well. Any upcoming announcements from your organizations or agencies? April?
So, I'll stand up because I feel like I'm short and hollering. So the Recovery Hub is getting ready to have their second social. Nina Marie partners with us doing that, so we're excited about that. It'll be April 12th. It's going to be at Goodwill Center. We'd love to have all of you there. I'll be sending out the invite to Nina Marie, and she can send it out to you guys. It's going to be about bridging gaps this time. We're really excited. We'll be feeding you, so come on out and support us. That's April 12th from 12 to 2 at Goodwill on 70th Street.
Yes, and that's what I was going to mention. Stay tuned to your June and July calendar, because we are in the community in June and July. I think all 4 meetings are going to be out. We won't be in-house because they have a lot of summer camps and things going on during the summer here. So we are partnering with some organizations out in the community for the month of June and July. So Miss Rebecca, who does an amazing job, will keep us in the loop of that, right? She does. Any other upcoming announcements? What y'all got going on?
Actually, it's not my organization, but there's a mental health fair. It's at the Highland Center. And I have a little brochure about it, which I'll give you. It's not until May 11th.
Okay.
So I'm going to pass this on to you, Nancy.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep us abreast. I am part of this. The Women of Courage is a spinoff from the Men of Courage. Yes. So guys, you're not left off. Y'all actually got started first. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. We come together at the Stable, which is on Swan Lake Road in Bossier. And April 4, Kim, you'll be interested, but you can't go because it's women only. I'm sorry. But Shannon Royce, who is a counselor at Carthage High School, will be the speaker. So I'm going to pass this along to you too, Nina.
Absolutely. And if you've never been to the Women of Courage, I've been a couple of times. It is so fun. It's tons of women, and they feed you. So usually if it's food, I'm going to be there. Okay? But yes, super good.
I have a couple of follow-ups. The tour cards, we have a tour schedule on a business card at the sign-in table, so pick up one of those on your way out. If you can't make the April tour, we got them scheduled throughout the year for you. On the croquet tournament, if you would like to register for the croquet tournament, there are posters on the sign-in table. There's a QR code here. Whip out your phone on the way out and go ahead and get registered. We love it when you do it that way. Yeah. But if you like paper and hate trees, we have some sign-in.
LSU, Ms. Rachel.
LSUS and the Louisiana Alliance for Nonprofits is hosting a networking event on April 9th at the LSUS campus. It is at 8:30, from 8:30 to 10 a.m. There's a link, I think on our Facebook page where you can go register.
Okay, will you send me that too, Ms.
Yes,
Rachel?
ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And while you're there, you can look at the beautiful ground where we're gonna play croquet.
Yes. Wait.
I'd like to remind everybody this Thursday is Community Renewal's citywide prayer breakfast at the Cedar Grove Friendship House. Everybody's invited. It's a great breakfast, a lot of fun and fellowship. Come.
That is a last Thursday of every month. In Cedar Grove, and it's at what time, Wade?
It's at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. It's an amazing breakfast. Community leaders, free breakfast. We believe in feeding you. You want to be there. Miss Rebecca. Yes. What's the address to?
78th Street. I don't know.
Corner house on the Thorn Hill.
Okay, Thornhill and 78th
You'll see it
Street.
says Friendship House.
And you'll
on
see it. It's the biggest house on the block.
Oh, yeah.
It says Friendship House on it. Yep.
And tomorrow, Dr. Russell Minor, the Haven House is having a Leaders, Good Neighbors seminar. It's tomorrow, 27th at 10 o'clock, and then he's having his Leaders Encouragement Gathering at 11:30 at August, 838 Market Place.
See why we need that app and that calendar?
Big time, Sharpie. I do know that on Saturday, KRA, which is an organization that Dorian Ford is a part of, they're hosting a big family fun day on Saturday at the Highland Center. I think it starts at 11. Up in there, maybe earlier 10, but that'll go out in the flyer as well. But that is a KRA event also on Saturday, a family affair. So, any last minute announcements? I will say, y'all, I'm super excited about this app. It's not just going to be the calendar. It's not just going to be profiles of who you can find within, but even bigger than that, how can we serve each other? So if you have an event coming up, we're working on building it out, that if you need volunteers, like what are your needs? Because we really are better together. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and leave your table 10 cards. These will be our new name tags. I know a couple of people, I won't name anybody, Megan, that took them home. And so please don't take them home, because we do love trees, believe it or not, and we want to save this paper. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you.